Okay, let's jump back into our models. Look at our... Cool, I'll check that right out now, John. So now we have our light fitting, and I think the colour we're using, the emissive we're using for the other light fitting should work quite well. Let's have a look at John's work here. I'm just going to copy the link and let's check it out. We'll go full screen so we can get a better look. Just my crappy internet in this country. Okay, here we go. Very nice. Is this like a blood effect you're going for here on the end of the knives? I'm assuming that red. So this is in ZBrush. He's texturing it up in ZBrush, which, like I said, is quite perfectly fine to do texturing work in. Cool. No, it's looking very cool. Again, I don't want to critique the color too much because it's in the ZBrush viewport here. It's not being rendered out with lighting. But I would say that it looks a little dark. Just the texture looks a little dark as far as gamma. You're saying you don't know? Yeah, I think you probably should do a bit more wearing on the knife blades. They look a bit clean. They also look a bit too shiny. I mean, metal is going to be shiny, that's for sure. But they're looking just a bit too shiny. Maybe look at your your glossiness map or your specular, or whatever you want to call it. In the olden days, we used to call it a spec map. They changed that with physically based materials. They now call it a metallic map. Is it the metallic or the roughness? I can't remember. I think they might call it the roughness map now. It's a specular map. It's the same thing. They just got different names for it when they created physically based materials. But yeah, the only thing I'm looking at here is the knife blades look a bit too glossy. Yeah. I mean, blood is going to be glossy, but it's not going to be quite that glossy. And on the actual blades themselves, I would add more wearing. Make them look a bit older on the metallic part of the blade. Metallic map. Okay. Yeah, maybe pull back a bit on the metallic map then. The metallic map I'm assuming you're using for the actual metal part of the blades here, which looks okay. But the map you're using for the blood just looks a bit too glossy. No problem. But no, it's coming together really nicely. The glove work looks nice. The texturing that you're using for the fingers is fine. It looks good. Yeah, and again, I don't want to critique the color too much because I'm looking at this in the ZBrush viewport, and that's not using optimal lighting and stuff. So it's very difficult for me to really say, oh, this is wrong, because it's not being lit right in ZBrush, because that's just a ZBrush interface. But as far as the texturing goes, I like the glove work. I like the texturing for the fingers. I would add more wearing to the metallic part of the blades, and just knock back on the glossiness a bit on the blood. But aside from that, it's nice work. Really nice. Thank you very much for sharing it online too, with the rest of the guys watching. It's supposed to look similar to the first movie. Okay. I've seen all of the Freddy Krueger movies except for the very, very last one that they made back in, I don't know, 2010 or around there. I don't know if you're asking me, the wax. I can't pronounce your name, dude. TH, I'm assuming EX, Thex, or Thex Awesome, maybe is what I think, yeah. Thex Awesome, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Okay. Do I use a mouse for ZBrush? I do use a mouse. I also use a Wacom tablet. the guys regulars to my channel know that I'm terrible with your usernames. I'll 9 times out of 10 get it wrong. But I'm assuming it's Text Awesome. The Awesome. There you go. That makes it much easier. The Awesome. Yes, I do use ZBrush. Yes, I do use a mouse, but I use a plugin so that the interface in ZBrush behaves more like Max when I rotate my mouse around with the left and right mouse buttons. So I use my mouse in ZBrush to move around my model with this plugin that's free to download. And as far as actually modeling in ZBrush, I use a Wacom tablet and stylus. Usually, that's generally what I'll do when I'm doing any fine work in ZBrush. You can, again, you'll see me use this quite a bit in Mari or sometimes Substance Painter. But by no means, guys, feel you need to buy a Wacom tablet. They're not cheap. They're good to learn because it takes a little while to get used to using a Wacom tablet, if you're coming from a mouse. And a lot of studios do use tablets, so the earlier you start to use one, the better. But if you can't afford to, by no means think that you need to, because the mouse, you can get by with using the mouse most times. It's just going to be a little bit more fiddly and a little bit more work. So for the leather part of the gloves, John is asking, so for the leather part of the gloves, does it look okay? No, the leather part looks alright. Again, I'm really big on adding a lot more wearing to my texturing work. So like we were talking about adding a little bit more wearing and damage to the blade, you could probably do the same sort of thing with the glove. Add a little bit of more wearing to the glove, just in parts. Now I can see you've got some wearing happening, I'm assuming here. But I would just try and add a little bit more wear to the glove as well, in the texture, that is. John says they cost a lot. They do cost a lot, John. Wacom tablets, I agree. They're very good. And you don't necessarily need to buy a Wacom, but studios generally always use Wacom. Because Wacom have been in business for more than 20 years. That's all they do. They do it very well. If you're working on a Surface or any of those tablets that come with a pen, you could probably use that as well. Although I don't suggest, guys, I don't really suggest using a tablet to do 3D work. They're usually not powerful enough. You're going to have a bad time trying to do 3D in a tablet, usually. Unless it's a top-of-the-line Surface tablet, in which case you might as well... I would prefer to spend my money on a good desktop as opposed to a tablet, because I like a nice big screen. And that's the other thing. A nice big screen really does help when you're doing work. And I have two. So... You used your mouse to create it, John. Yeah, no, that like I said, the mouse is perfectly fine. You can get by with using a mouse, guys. It's just going to take you a little bit longer and be a bit more fiddly than using a tablet. And that's why I'm saying don't feel you need to buy a tablet, particularly because they are quite expensive. You can get by with using a mouse. It's just a bit more fiddly. It will take a bit longer, but it's perfectly acceptable. And yeah, I'd add more wearing to the knife blades, and I'd try and add a little bit more wearing in the texture to the glove. And by wearing, I mean, let me jump into the last project I worked on stream, which was at Garden Terrace. We should have an image we can look at. I don't actually have any, because I don't do character work, I don't have any models that I could show you that demonstrated on fabric. But I should be able to demonstrate it in the texture, in the renders I created for the Garden Terrace. Because wearing on stone is going to be the same as wearing on fabric, it's just wearing in general. Let's have a look at the close-up camera. Let's see if this image will work for us. This is not wearing so much as weathering. do I have anything here that has wearing? I know, actually. We'll jump into Unreal, because one of the models here, it has some wearing on the wood. Let's look at that. So anyway, we'll come back to this in a minute, guys, to finish this up. But here, this model, this is what I mean by wearing. It's just this edge wearing where some of the wood is worn off, or along the top here, or through here. Just add some wear on the glove texture, John. So doesn't look, this part of the texture I'm talking about more than anything. So it doesn't look quite so clean. Just add a bit more variation to your underlying texture just to make it look a bit more interesting. And you'll find if you can get that, just that worn look happening on your glove, it'll add much more interest through here. And like I said, I'm talking about this part of the glove here, the darker part. No problem. So yeah, that bit of wearing on the glove and a little bit more wearing on the blade, and knock back a bit on the speck on the blood. But looking very nice, and thank you very much for sharing it online with the rest of the guys. Okay, let's jump back to this light fitting. I don't think the awesome says most streamers don't get his name. No, it's me. It's me. I'm a bit dyslexic that way. I think it's cool. I like the way you've done it. It's very hip, I guess. a lot of guys will use the 3 as an E. I recognise that now, but yeah, it took me a while. No, I like the name. It's not nothing to do, no problem with your username. It's just me. As most of the guys that are regulars to my channel will tell you, I always get the usernames wrong. But it does help when guys pop into chat and tell me, like the awesome did, and spelled it out that way. The awesome says he's done modeling like in Fusion 360, but you want to get into this also? You want to get into Unreal maybe? Is that what you're saying? Or because you can do 3D modeling in Blender. Sniper Echo is a regular to my channel, uses Blender. And Blender is a very good 3D program. Like I say to you guys, don't feel that you have to use 3D Studio Max. You don't. I use Max because I work in ArchViz, and this is what all of the studios generally will use Max, ArchViz Studios. And I've used it for more than 10 years, so I know Max pretty well. I've been using it since version 1 when it was back in its DOS days, which is a long time ago. So that's the reason I use Max, but all 3D programs now are pretty good. They're, Blender is an excellent 3D program. It's completely free. I want to encourage you guys to do 3D, so download Blender, install it, play around with it. The Unreal Engine is free. Again, go to Epic Games, download the engine and install it and see what you can create. Because that's the whole point of doing 3D. You never know what you can make until you try. And you're never going to get better unless you practice. So, practice. Install these 3D software, they're free, play around with them, keep practicing, and it's not impossible. Anyone can do 3D. Anyone can. It's only hard if you think it's hard. Now, and if you try and tackle an object or a project that's too complicated, that can be difficult if you're not used to using 3D. So start simple, keep practicing, and over time you'll get better and better and better, and before you know it, you'll be great. And do try though, guys. It's a really fun thing to play with and to do. And like I said, you can create stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. That garden terrace, that doesn't exist anywhere. That forest that it's in doesn't exist anywhere. We made all of that in 3D and rendered it out. So you'll be able to create scenes that just don't exist in real life. And that's what I really love about 3D. It's that creativity that you can make something that's completely unique that doesn't exist. It's why I like animation too, even though I'm not an animator. I like the fact that my friends who are animators can bring a character to life, that's something really special. And creating 3D objects that don't exist is special as well. Even this object that you see here, which is an everyday railing for the building, it doesn't exist anywhere. There is nowhere in real life that you can see this. I mean, I created this. I textured it, painted the textures. It doesn't exist. So even though it's a very mundane object, you're never going to see it in real life, not unless somebody makes it based on my 3D model. So we have our light fitting. We're using the emissive map that we're using for the wall sconce, which is this one here. See that? Yeah. So the same emissive map. That just saves us a bit on texture memory. It still works quite well for this model, so that should be fine. We've plugged in our metallic and roughness maps for our wrought ironwork. And even though it's hard to tell now because of the emissive map here, we've got the gold paint happening on those two rings, as well as the rings here along the side. And remember, it's sitting on the ceiling, so you're never really going to see it any closer than maybe like that. Even that's probably closer. You're probably never going to see it more than like that. And we're going to be placing those on the ceilings throughout our level. And again, it just helps to tie it into the original Art Deco sconce that we're using here, that we're going to be using on the walls. We've only got one more light fitting that we have to bring over, and that is the large chandelier. I'm just going to go out of isolation mode here. This large chandelier, we're going to tackle that at some stage, but I'm not going to do it today. It's a large object. We'll do that another day. We've done a light fitting, so we'll move on to something a little bit different. I like to vary it up a bit so you guys don't get bored with me doing all lights or all wood, or we jump around a bit here. And we've still got a few assets here we've got to texture up and bring into the engine. We're getting there though. Pretty soon we'll have a lot of what we need to start rebuilding the building in Unreal. Now again, I want to do some work on this building. I want to retexture the roof, and I want to add a bit more detailing to the outside of the building, because again, this was made for UDK in 2011, and we can afford to up the poly count a bit, make it look a bit more interesting in the new engine, which is what we're going to do. And I'm definitely changing the roof though, because I really hate that texture. The texturing on the roof is really bad. Again, don't judge me. I did this back in 2011, so it was over 6 years ago. So, and again, a perfect example of you get better the longer you do something. So, we will pick another model now to start texturing up so we can take it into Unreal. Just before we do that though, guys, I'm just going to take a quick break for a few minutes and grab a fresh cup of coffee. I will be back in a few minutes time, and then we can start working on another asset that we can bring into the Unreal Engine. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. I'll leave you with my Be Right Back screen in the meantime, and yeah, I'll grab a fresh coffee and I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Okay. So now we have to choose a new 3D model that we're going to start working on to bring into to update for the engine. I'm just going to go through them here and see which one might be good for us to work on next. Let's get away from the wood. We'll work on more of the wood next week. We've just finished working on that railing section, so we'll choose something else. We've just done a light. We could do one of the doors. Yeah, in fact, let's work on one of the doors, I think. So again, I'm going to go into isolation mode just so I can be less distracted. John, here's one of your other projects. Okay, let's have a look. There's another project that John has worked on. Let me just make that a bit larger so I can get a better look. That's creepy, dude. Really creepy. He got like teeth here in his chin. So he's got like 3 mouths. Is that what I'm seeing here? Or is that just some sort of I don't know. That looks really creepy. It's very, very cool. Very creepy. Nice detailing work you're putting in there. It was chasing you down, and John says that this thing was chasing him down in his dreams. That would freak me out. If I saw that in a dream of mine, it would freak me out. Absolutely freak me out. There's some nice detailing work that you put into the actual modelling up of the creature. Yeah, very creepy, and I'm glad I don't have dreams with it where something like this is chasing me. But it's like I said, I like the detailing you're putting into the modelling here. It's very nice. You're gonna texture him up? Because like I said, guys, I'm happy to look at any work, whether it's textured or untextured. I do particularly like to see your models textured though. It really brings your model to life. John says its chest is a dragon and teeth. Demon ribs, okay. Yeah, I can see the dragon here. Demon ribs, okay. Oh, cool. I'm glad you're going to be texturing him up because I think he'll look really good textured. Mega creepy textured. He looks creepy now. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him textured up. So when you've done a bit more work on him, let me know so we can check it out. But that looks very cool. Very creepy, but very cool. Thanks for sharing. Nice work though. Like I said, I like the detailing work. Okay, let's there's only one part of this model I need to take into Substance to texture, and that's the handle for the door. You're having trouble on the hands? Yeah, I know. I noticed that you haven't really sculpted up the hands. Again, I don't do character work, so I'm not really great myself with doing anything like that. I mean, I've done some. I do a lot of angel statues or statue work. They have hands, obviously, but I don't do a lot of character work where things move. So hands are generally always difficult to get right. Make sure that the fingers look right. That can be the most difficult part. The palm of the hand is generally fine, but the finger, make sure the fingers look correct, that's always hard. He looks like he's doing the thumbs up there though. But yeah, do show pop back in when you've textured him up a bit more or modelled him up in his hands a bit more. Let me know. I'm interested to see. So like I said, guys, I want to look at all your work. No matter what you're doing, no matter what your skill level is. You don't have to be great at modelling and adding detailing like John has here, but it can be any sort of work you're doing in 3D. That is why I'm on Twitch. I want you guys doing 3D, regardless of how good you think you are. I want you to try it. It's really fun. Do it. Oh, but that's cool. And yeah, it's looking very nice, John. Creepy but nice. So I'm going to take this handle into Substance Painter so I can use a physically based substance on it. I just want to do a chrome, I think. So before I take it into Substance again, though, we have to make sure it's UV mapped correctly. So we're going to throw down an unwrap UVW. You will? Cool. Make sure you do. I want to see it. I want to see Sniper Echo's work as well. I know he's been doing some stuff with that landscape, and that was looking really cool as well. Now you can see here my UV maps are a complete mess. That you see right there is just, you would never UV map like that. That's just horrible. We're going to select everything. We're going to try doing a flatten mapping to begin with. 9 times out of 10 you can get away with using flatten mapping in Max. Flatten maps quite well. It'll even pack your UVs for you. And I think we can get away with doing a flatten mapping. It's mapped it fine. So, 2-second job in Max. And again, for you guys that use Blender, I know that Sniper Echo was saying Blender's unwrap tools aren't great. There are third-party programs you can purchase. I don't think they're free. I know that I generally, if I don't use Max, I try to use Max as much as I can to do my unwrapping. You can use a program called Unfold 3D or a program called UV Layout. UV Layout's actually made by a company in Australia, which is interesting. But not a lot of companies doing this sort of making 3D programs in Australia, but they're an Australian company. But Unfold 3D was actually Autodesk bought the rights to use the Unfold 3D to incorporate parts of their work into Max, and that's why Max's Unwrap is so good, because it's based now on this Unfold 3D program that Autodesk purchased the rights to use in Max. And that's a separate program you can purchase regardless of what 3D program you use to do your UV mapping if you're having problems. Or UV Layout. UV Layout, the interface isn't as nice as Unwrap 3D. Unfold 3D, my apologies. Unfold 3D is what it's called. UV Layout, the interface looks like something out of the 80s, but it does the job very well. I think it's actually a bit cheaper too than Unfold 3D. Just something to keep in mind though, if you are having problems doing UV mapping in whatever 3D program you're using. They're both very good. They'll both help speed up your UV mapping as much as they can automatically for you. And UV Layout's the cheaper of the two, but the interface is pretty horrible. Usable, but not nice to look at, put it that way. And again, yeah, just to let you guys know, that's the reason Max's Unwrap tools are so good, because they actually bought the rights to use this Unfold 3D stuff in Max. So we've unwrapped our door handle. We are going to, I think it should be okay. I'm just going to throw an edit poly on the top. I want to make sure that my verts are welded. We've had problems with the vertices not being welded, so just to make sure, I'm going to go into vertex mode and go into weld mode here. Let's move my interface out of the way. And I'm going to weld it up. Whoop. And this is the problem, if you go too high you're going to mess up your model. But if we keep pulling it back until we get all our model pieces back correctly. A 0.4 should be fine. I have a feeling it is welded correctly anyway. Just double checking I haven't messed anything up completely, and that looks okay. Alright. So I just confirmed that to make sure my verts were welded. I'm going to collapse my stack. Going to throw an unwrap on quickly to make sure it didn't mess up my UVs at all. No, they still look fine. Okay, we can remove that unwrap now. Let's export this model piece, so export selected. Again, we're going to create a new folder. We'll call this one side door, because we've got two different doors for that building. We've got the front and the back door, and the side doors that are different, slightly different. We'll call this one side door, and we'll call it door handle. I'm just going to copy that name. And we'll just export that FBX file. And I'm just going to call it door handle here as well. I'll call this one door handle A because I'm going to have a few, two different types of handles. So we've exported our model. Let's jump into Substance Painter. We're just going to make sure we save this project in case we need to come back. We're going to create a new project. Now we didn't render out a material ID for this because we're just going to be texturing it all up using one material for the new door handle. So let's pull that in. Okay. I think what it's done is I have a grouped object. I'm just checking. I think it may have exported everything together. So before I do this, I'm just going to jump back into Max. Yeah, it's part of a group. And when I did the export, it exported the group. So I'm going to ungroup everything. Now I have just my door handle selected. Okay, now we'll jump back into Substance, create a new project. Export, side door, door handle, everything else we can leave as default. Okay, so we have our door handle here. Now, it looks to me like we're having a problem with the normals. The reason we can see through the handle is because the normals are incorrect. So again, I'm going to go into Isolate so I can get a better look at the handle. I'm going to throw a normal modifier on it. And what that done is it's flipped the normals. I'm also going to unify the normals. We're going to collapse the stack one more time. We're going to export the handle one more time. Door handle is the one we want. Yes, we want to overwrite. All the defaults there should be fine. Back into Substance. Let's go to our project configuration and re-import that door handle model. Now you see that our normals are correct. They're not from the back, but we're not seeing the back here. There are no polys on the back there. That's attaching to the door. But from the front it's correct. So let's choose a substance painter for it. A substance material, sorry, for it. Again, you see I've got quite a few Substance materials, probably more than what comes with the default program, but you can download them for free from the Substance website. A lot of them anyway. I'm just looking for a nice iron here. I don't want one that's too shiny like that. I think we might go for something like this iron galvanized. We could go for a steel, but again, it's a bit shiny. Let me try this steel rough. If we don't like it, we can always change it. I'll drag it just into my material layer stack there and remove this blank material that Substance creates. Okay, I'm just going to angle it around a bit here and play with my scaling. So I'm going to turn off lock scaling so I can manipulate them independently. Alright, now I want to pull back on the shininess just a little bit. And that's the steel roughness here in Substance Painter. So See, I always get confused with Substance. They tend to flip things around the way you normally would go. Basically, going further down toward the bottom makes it much more shiny, and going towards the top makes it less, which it goes against the way most programs will do it. Usually it's the other way around, but anyway. That's just one of the quirks of Substance Painter. You want a bit of shininess on it, just not mega shiny. Let's try adding a generator as well. So we're going to right click and go add generator. We're going to choose that dirt generator we used for a lot of the other stuff, because it works quite well for everything, not just wood. It can work well for metal as well. I'm going to turn off the hide information. And let's just start playing with that dirt level a little bit. I want it a little worn, a little dirty, but not like it's about to rust off. You can play with that grunge amount just a bit as well. And a grunge scale as well. And that should be pretty good, I think. We just want a little bit of wear and grunge happening on the metal itself. Hey Roy, yes, this is Substance Painter that we're using here at the moment. Yes, it is Substance Painter. Yep. We're just doing a door handle for one of the Art Deco doors. We are working on an Art Deco building that we're going to be taking into the Unreal Engine to recreate in the Unreal Engine, so we're just doing the assets for that at the moment. It was a building I made back in 2011 in UDK. Let's just have a look at the original. This is the original fly-through I did when I made this building in UDK back in 2011. We're recreating this now in Unreal Engine 4.15. This is just some concept art I created back in the day before I made the actual building. So for all you guys that are new to the channel, this video is this building we're going to be recreating that I made back in 2011 using UDK. We're recreating it now using Unreal Engine 4 because UDK was Unreal Engine 3 and they've improved it a lot since then. They've improved the lighting a lot in the engine from back in UDK to Unreal 4. So we're going to be remaking this level using the new engine because I want to see what the changes are in the lighting that Epic have made to the engine. So we're recreating this, we're just updating the assets as well because making them a bit higher poly. We're changing some of the textures on some of the objects as well, just to make it a little bit more modern, not modern, but just to increase the detail levels a bit. For the new graphics cards, now the graphics cards have a lot more memory and consoles have a lot more memory. We can afford to increase the asset poly counts a bit, increase the texture sizes a bit. And we'll recreate this building using a new engine with just a few tweaks and changes here and there to some of the models. So again, just for the benefit of guys that are new to the channel, just to see exactly what I'm working on and why I'm working on it. And again, remember guys, this was done back in 2011. we'll do another cinematic once we've built this building, rebuilt the building in the new engine. We're going to create a camera. We're going to do another cinematic like this one. I'll go through all of that online while I stream as we put the building together.